Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Squat Cobbler. This is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram.
And I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything.
So you're going to change that Twitter handle to Doctor Official Pagan anytime?
Well, the title's getting too long, so now it's the Honorable Sir, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem.
You know.
It's a first world problem and second world problem. I don't know. It's a lot of problems. Anyway, I think we're really bad at predicting show length, so this will
Yeah.
be this will be of indeterminate length. But what Mike and I wanted to talk a little bit about today, Sir Mike, is cabinets. And so, as you well know, if you've listened to Squad Cobbler at all, or look behind me, I have an At Games Legend Ultimate, and Mike has several arcade one-up game consoles. So, which ones would you have, arcade units?
Well, first off, you can't look behind me, unfortunately, because I'm in the recording studio, not in the arcade. But currently, I have the sit down bench version of the Star Wars cabinet that has the three original arcade Star Wars games. I have the Mortal Kombat cabinet, which has one, two, and Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate, which is the fixed version of three. And I have the Ninja Turtles four-player cabinet, which has the Turtles arcade game and its sequel, Turtles in Time.
Yep. And history here is Mike bought a vast complex, and it had a room that he's dedicated, a former waiting room, doctor's office waiting room, I believe, as the arcade room.
Correct.
And he had begun to amass arcade one-ups and was actively mocking me about my lack of them. And so I had been given serious, based on his recommendations, and they seemed pretty interesting to me. And so I was giving them a very serious look, which is when I started to come across more and more about At Games Ultimate. And it's a multi-arcade, so you've got the ability. You don't have dedicated side art or anything like that, but you've got quite a few games and very extensible. And so push came to shove as I looked at it. I said, "Hey, I'd like to try out the At Games." And Mike's an arcade one-up guy, and so we thought we'd just talk a little bit about kind of the existing cabinets we have, what's kind of coming up in the future. This isn't really a debate on which one's better, but kind of both of us just talking about them. I mean, if At Games or Arcade One Up is watching, I don't have any One Up games, so I mean, you could send some to me, and then I could probably talk about them more carefully. Just like Mike could probably use a Legends Ultimate. So just want to get that out there, and but just kind of step
Some
through.
might call that shameless. We're just stating facts,
That's
though.
right. These are everything I shared is a fact. I do not have any arcade one-up machines, so thought we'd kind of talk a little bit about each of the arcades. I'm going to start off in just talking a little bit about. So I have what it's called the 1.0 version of Legends Ultimate. Recently, a 1.1 version has emerged. There's supposedly few differences. You know, the my console has two HDMI and two USB 2.0s. The new one has one HDMI, a USB 2.0, and a USB 3.0. It does now include pinball controls, so buttons on the side of the unit, so it's much more a true pinball feel for if you're playing pinball games on the Legends. Uh, the game mix is a little bit different in terms of that. And then what I've started to pick up a trend that, At Games had in the past gotten some knocks against them about quality of their stuff, and that was one of the big kind of people were super pleasantly surprised with the Legends Ultimate because the controllers are not cheap. They're not ultra super high end, but they're really solid and good. Some people occasionally have trouble with the trackball, but all in all, it's been a pretty good setup. The cabinet assembly was very easy, very sturdy. Occasionally some problem with the chrome coming off on the edges there, but all in all, a pretty good satisfaction with the quality of the unit. Now, I have heard more often than not on the most current version that they may have at least dialed it back a notch on the stability and strength of the cabinet material. And mine, I screwed everything together. They've moved back towards the the old IKEA solder furniture kind of pin and turn locking mechanisms. When you get the assembled furniture, so instead of kind of straight screws, they've got more of those lock-in types of things there, which sometimes work really well, other times maybe not so much. So there's been some issues a little bit with some of these cabinets showing up broken or parts of them broken, and then the various hardware stuff. I had a little bit of a hardware issue. Fortunately, it occurred within the extremely short 30-day warranty period, so I was able to get the board switched out, and it's worked fine. Their customer service was very responsive. But it is interesting because I've had somebody approach me saying, hey, I see you have an At Games Legend Ultimate. Would you recommend I get one? And I love the system. I would absolutely recommend getting a 1.0. I'm a little gun shy right now on the 1.1s to just kind of wait to see if this was just a bubble at the beginning, whether it's just a bad sample size or some things. But there's a few things right now to say it kind of feels like you're at risk that this unit might come with a little bit of something wrong. But I sure hope it doesn't, because if it doesn't, you end up getting this machine with all this extensibility and all these great capabilities. And it's a great unit for me, and I really enjoy it. So that's kind of the good of the Legends Ultimate stuff, and maybe a little bit of a concern with what I'm hearing on 1.1. Why don't you kind of talk to me a little bit about kind of your at-game cabinets or your Arcade 1-Up cabinets and what you're kind of seeing in the future for that?
So it's interesting because you brought up, At Games kind of initially didn't have the greatest reputation, and, really came back with the Legends, and I've only heard great things about it, at least the one that you have. I've started to see, you and I were talking previously, and you had mentioned some of the issues people were having with the newest iteration of the cabinet, and I've started to see things like that pop up. So the reason that I went specifically with Arcade 1-Up, because there is a lot of home arcade options out there now. It's not just At Games and Arcade 1-Up, but I would say clearly they're at the kind of top of the heap right now in terms of everything, because if you're going for the multi-arcade thing where space is more of an issue for you, obviously At Games right now is the one to go with. If you're going, I made a decision coming into it because there was already, prior to the Legends Ultimate coming out, there's a few competitors that have similar setups, seemingly less quality, but similar setups where you can have hundreds of games on one cabinet. I decided early, because I have the space. This is what I was waiting to do, get to a compound like we have now, where I have multiple rooms at my disposal. And there was always going to be a room that was going to be an old school style arcade, like I grew up playing in. So multiple cabinets was always going to be the thing. So that's where the choice to go with Arcade 1-Up over a more, multi-game cabinet kind of thing was an easy choice for me. The only thing I was concerned about, so the first round of cabinets, they had the kind of issues that you would expect for things that, luckily, by the time the first one I purchased was Mortal Kombat, which was from their second generation of cabinets at that point. So they had already adjusted a lot of those issues. Apparently there was some issue with the quality of the toppers of the joysticks. I am not even going to begin to get into this with people, because there is apparently, if you watch some videos online, there are people who will debate joystick toppers for hours. This is a deep issue that I clearly am not qualified to talk about. I do not have enough knowledge to compare. Apparently, though, they didn't have the greatest toppers. They've amended that with the toppers they have now. Everybody seems relatively happy with those. A bigger issue, and this is something that definitely would have affected me. So if you remember going to the arcade, a lot of times over the joystick, you would have that plastic cover over the joystick panel. The first generation Arcade 1-Up cabinets did not come with that. So as people were playing, they were actually scuffing up the artwork and rubbing off the artwork and things like that, playing it, destroying their joystick panel area. So I don't know why that wasn't factored in initially, but that is something they all come with, covered up joystick areas now. As far as where I'm going to go next with it, They do have some pinball tables in the works, so I'm excited about that because pinball was something that I was actually going to skip for the arcade, just because I know people who've had pinball machines. You've had a pinball machine
Yep.
as well, if you wanted to kind of touch on that. But I know from speaking with friends that there's a lot of upkeep involved with that, and that was just something I wasn't looking to get into. I mean, the arcade cabinets, similar probably to what you have. You know, it's a framework, speaker system, monitor, hard drive attached to it inside the cabinet. So it's a pretty simple setup. Once everything's there, it's there. Other than just moving the cabinet where you want it, there's not a lot of upkeep involved with it. That's what I want. I don't need to be taking things apart and dealing with all of that. I'm not mechanically inclined enough, even if I wanted to do it myself, to be able to handle something like that. So their digital pinball tables look really good from the initial videos, and it seems like price wise they're going to be in line with their cabinets. Their cabinets tend to range from $300 to $500 depending on the style of cabinet. There are a couple that are a little more, some are a little less. That seems to be the basic range though. So what is the arcade Legends Ultimate going for now?
So it'll go for $5.99 at off of At Games site
Okay.
and at Walmart and GameStop.
Okay.
Sam's, it's $100 cheaper. And that's
Now, is there a difference in the unit itself?
actually the Sam's unit typically has more. It has in the version that when I was looking, the Sam's version would come with a couple extra, or at least one extra dongle that would have some additional games on it. That one of their the At Games Blast setups that you'd have to go out and purchase if you just got the one in the wild. But and I think there's something. It's a special edition again that the Sam's one. There's a little perk, but yeah, I think it's just kind of the nature of Sam's and how they operate. That their price point's $100 less. These are Dickens. These are hard to find, and I was basically doing searches all the time. And the first time an available product showed up for me was actually at Walmart, but it was on sale at Walmart, so it was $5.49. So it'll basically run you 600 unless you're a Sam's Club member and Sam's has it in stock, and that's gonna be 500.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, not far off, and you're getting more games with it, so it seems, price point wise where it should be for that sort of thing. Like I said, it's mostly 300 to 500 for the arcade one up cabinets. There are some that are a little bit more now. You're getting into the 4-player cabinets. They came out with their first online cabinet, so for NBA Jam, you can play against other people online and hopefully add more content to that game at some point. That's the only reason I haven't bought into that one yet. It is missing some of the content that they weren't able to license. I mean, they are dealing with an older NBA product. So, people have retired, teams have changed, lineups of teams have changed. There's a lot of red tape for them to cut through to make that happen. But apparently it does have most of the content from the original games on there. Whereas the other ones are the complete, arcade experience.
Now, are those price points you're talking about with the riser? Because that was one of the other kind of, at least big differences as I was kind of looking into, is that the Legends Ultimate is about 90% the size of a traditional arcade cabinet. It's pretty much full size. Have seen some stuff, folks that are over 6 foot tall, wanting to kind of adjust it a little bit so they don't have to kind of stoop over and watch. But by and large, it comes in at a good size. I know at least the initial arcade one-ups you were talking about, you went with the riser too, because they come in a little shorter to begin with. And,
yeah, so the base unit, so part of what they do, a big part of the home arcade thing prior to Arcade One Up coming into it is scaled down arcade cabinets is another very popular thing. Getting cabinets that are bar top cabinets where it's just the monitor and joystick, and then just generally scaled down cabinets. There's a company, I can't remember the name offhand. They're very popular though. They make 1/4 scale arcade cabinets, but apparently incredible quality on everything, but 1/4 sized. So what Arcade One Up did was kind of split the difference. With their early cabinets, basically, if you bought it, it was 4 feet tall. So you would essentially sit at it to play it. So not bar top, bigger than that, but short arcade cabinet. But you could buy a riser, attach it to the riser, which would make it a regular full size cabinet. The later ones, so like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for example, comes with the riser. So you have the option of not using the riser if you wanted to, but those come with specific risers that are specially made for that. Star Wars, there is no riser because I got the sit down version of it. If you bought the stand up version of the cabinet, though, that comes with a riser as well. So the more expensive units for whatever it is, the licensing, or in the case of the Turtles, it's 4 players, so it's a much larger unit to begin with. They throw in the riser with those.
Very cool.
And again, for me, I'm trying to recreate an arcade look, so the riser is a definite for me.
Yeah, and it'll be looking forward to see which way you go with some of the pinball stuff, because that's another. So At Games is close to releasing some Pinball X or pinball kind of capabilities, dedicated systems for that. Some of the initial, and these aren't like full licensed games; these are more kind of individually created pinball games. Okay. They've made those available to all of us, and so we can go to the website, download them, do what we need to do to put it on a USB stick, and can fire it up. And so there's like 4 games right now that I can play pinball on my At Games, and it's solid. It's pretty good. I've actually had, and we covered this in a video a little bit earlier, Pinball Arcade on Steam. Great user experience, really, really fun.
Yeah, I love Pinball Arcade.
And I'm able to kind of run that into the At Games Legends Ultimate, and it's been a nice addition. So that's been pretty fun. So I think it might be cool. I did have a traditional pinball machine. It actually used to sit where the my Legends unit is now, but
was that part of the negotiation?
It was part of the negotiation. Is that there was only one shall pass, and so one was there, and it was like in 1963. I don't think it was run by coal. I had to shovel the boiler to get it to run. It was minimal. The electronics were very, very steampunky looking, and it never worked.
Gears and mice running around.
Yeah, it's just. I got it kind of sorted to work, but it was Bullfighter. It was a beautiful machine, but it does require a lot of upkeep and some special expertise to do that. And so I can troubleshoot software installation a lot better than I can troubleshoot the guts of that pinball machine. So that he got a nice home.
I can barely troubleshoot putting together the arcade 1-up cabinets. So that's a feat for me, and I get help every time.
But you hung a ladder.
That's true. I did. Yeah, when I was putting together the Mortal Kombat cabinet, which was the first one, I did most of it myself. The hardest part of putting together the 1-up cabinets is mounting the monitor, because at that point you already have the basic form of the cabinet together. So you have to kind of crawl into the cabinet to finish mounting it from the inside. I'm 6'1". That's not happening. Me crawling into this cabinet and crawling up it. It was like 2 a.m. when I was finished putting this together, because I started not because I started at noon and it was 2 a.m. but I started extremely late. So I was like, I really don't want to wait till tomorrow to finish this. So I ran up to the house part of the compound and was like, oh my God, get up. She pops up. What's wrong? And I was like, oh, nothing, but as long as you're up, can you help me with this Mortal Kombat? Did not go over well.
Nope.
So for the future builds, I pick a time like, hey, Sunday or whatever it might be, we're going to put this together.
Yeah. I think, when are you going to bed? And then kind of work back from that. That is one of the biggest of the version I got. Was, and we put a video out on this as well, was the assembly. It was 20 to 25 minutes. What was really sweet with the Legends Ultimate is the entire upper unit that houses the monitor and the speakers and all that was already pre-assembled. So I
Nice.
built the base, which is almost basically a big riser to hold the monitor. I built the base and I popped the monitor on top, and then it just became a matter of connecting in the joysticks, the gaming part of it. And
Well, that's the way. There is a Neo Geo cabinet that's coming out. So there were some leaked photos from. So Arcade One Up has an issue with some photos getting leaked that sometimes predate their official announcements of games, including their light gun Buck Hunter game that's now finally making its way to market. There were some leaked photos of an Arcade One Up Neo Geo cabinet that people got excited about. Then it disappeared, and you didn't hear anything else about it. Now Neo Geo is releasing their own Arcade One Up style cabinet. And then when I say Arcade One Up style, it looks like an Arcade One Up cabinet. Like they just kept that design from the leaked photos, but did it themselves and cut Arcade One Up out of it. But it sounds like from the plans, the way they were released, it's going to be something similar to the Legends Ultimate, where the top part is just coming assembled, and then you assemble the base that it attaches to. But it's being designed so that you can either attach it to the base or you can use it as a bar top unit.
cool, that'll be all right.
I don't know if Legends works that way or not.
So there's really no. I expect you could take the top part of it off and kind of say it's a bar top, because you could have the control panel and the monitor and whole casing sitting up there, but it's not really designed to do that. What it is, and they have the gamer. There's a gamer kind of version of it now too, which is no cabinet, just the kind of controller, and then you take your HDMI, you run it into a source, and you play it on your big screen, you play it on your projector, all that. Which, when my Legends was down and out for a little while, this is what I had to do, and it worked. It was actually pretty nice, pretty good experience to kind of fire it up through my projector and play it that way. But I was glad I was able to get the repair done I need to get done and get back to using the cabinet as it exists today.
Very nice. Yeah, and there's a lot of those units out there too. Neo Geo has one of those. Capcom has one of those where it's just the joystick area, plug and play style with built-in games. The Capcom one, I don't know if you saw, was really bizarre. It looked cool at first because the joystick piece had two joysticks, two sets of buttons. It was cut to form the Capcom logo, which was kind of cool looking until you saw the size of it, though. It was probably about this big for both of them. So in order to play with another person, you're basically cuddling up and kind of resting it on both of your laps and trying to make that work. And I just can't see how that's going to work out when you're getting into a game.
No, that's
Yeah.
rife with problems, I think.
Yeah. Kelly, come cuddle up on the couch with me. We're going to play some Street Fighter.
Yeah, not gonna go well. The whole flip the table kind of issue there. You're gonna flip the controller. Huh. All right. Well, I think we just wanted to talk a little bit about Arcade One Up and At Games on this video. As a reminder to both companies, Mike's the guy that needs the Legends Ultimate. I'm the guy that needs some Arcade One Up games. So,
And we could both use a Neo Geo.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. And so
full size for me. I don't know if Kelly would prefer, because you can purchase just the bar top unit, or you can purchase it with the full cabinet.
yeah, let's have him send me a full size too.
Full size,
We'll do
yeah, that makes sense.
That'll be good. I can set it right next to it. It'll be fine. Cool. Well, we'll be back. Talk some more retro gaming soon. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the Bog Panda YouTube channel, where you get this content. You also get reviews of shows like Better Call Saul. You get a recommendation podcast, all such other goodies as well. So thanks for watching, folks.
Thanks, everybody.